WNYC supporters include Pace University. Pace students learn by doing with resume-building internships in nursing, musical theater, environmental law, and ESG. In New York City, Westchester County, and online. Learn more at gogetters.pace.edu. Leadership support for WNYC's local and global news coverage is provided by the Jerome L. Green Foundation, partnering with organizations to promote justice and equality for all New Yorkers.
On the next All of It, Susanna Hoffs is the former lead singer of the Bangles, and she's still making music. Her new album of cover songs is about to drop, as is her debut novel, The Bird Has Flown. The New York Times calls the book a total knockout. She joins us for a listening party and to dish on life as a novelist. Plus, we'll speak with the directors of the new Dungeons and Dragons movie and take your calls. I'm Allison Stewart. Join me for All of It weekdays at noon on WNYC.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on 93.9 FM. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm Razia Iqbal. On the programme today, Donald Trump is expected to arrive in New York for his arraignment in court tomorrow. The former president of Kosovo, Hashim Thaçi, goes on trial accused of war crimes during the fight for independence from Serbia. And James Menendez is in Ohio looking at the culture wars. BBC NewsHour coming up at 9 on 93.9 FM, WNYC.
43 with sunshine, sunny and 62 today, and then tonight a low around 50, so not all that cold. Tomorrow mostly sunny and 68. Wednesday we'll see a chance of morning showers and cloudy and 65. Once again, 43 with sunshine. It's WNYC at 8:51.
A conversation on interest rates and the banking mess with a senior Federal Reserve official.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Buyside from the Wall Street Journal, an independent commerce site designed to help consumers make smart decisions with their time and money. WSJ.com/Buyside.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. Top brass at the Federal Reserve make decisions that affect every woman, man, and child in America. We call it a central bank, but it's made up of 12 regions. One of those regions covers just about all of New England. I spoke to Susan M. Collins, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, about the inflation fight and the banking mess. President Collins, welcome.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Some of the remedy for inflation, higher interest rates, but the remedy is putting pressure on banks. Is this problem with some banks making it harder for your colleagues to fight inflation?
So what I would say about that is that these topics are very much interrelated. Overall, our banks are sound, they're resilient, they're well capitalized, and of course, important to monitor. I do think that the recent stresses are quite likely to cause some financial tightening, and that's something that I factor in as I think about what appropriate monetary policy is.
That's really interesting. In other words, some of these stresses in the banking system will themselves be a drag on growth, and that could pull the correct direction on inflation.
They might. And so, important to monitor the data and to watch how various institutions, how the economy is responding. But it is correct that some banks may choose to increase their liquidity a bit, perhaps tightening conditions for credit, and that would help to slow the economy. And of course, that's exactly what the Fed is doing as we work hard to bring inflation down, given the toll that inflation is taking on people and businesses.
Let's talk about how we watch over our banks, given what we've seen in recent weeks. In your view, was supervision adequate at these two banks?
I think that there were clearly some challenges that were not met in terms of bank decisions. As you may know, there is a kind of thorough review underway of what happened, and it will look at supervision and regulation. And I think it is premature to try to say what the findings for that will be. I will say that it's important with a degree of humility to take those findings to heart and really act on what's learned about what went wrong and how we can do things better.
And would you agree that there's work to do to understand the new technology, how social media can feed into bank runs, stuff like that?
Conditions certainly are evolving. We saw that the flows were much more, they were remarkable how rapidly flows moved. That's not something that we've really seen before, and that's certainly something to be examined and may be part of the recommendations that come out. But again, I don't want to get out ahead of what we will see.
Susan M. Collins, president of the Boston Fed. And will all these higher interest rates end in recession? More on that with the Boston Fed chief on our homepage or Marketplace Morning Report podcast if you miss that section on the air today. Now to the price of energy, especially gasoline, with a surprise announcement last night that the oil producers cartel OPEC is going to cut production by over 1 million barrels a day starting next month. OPEC Plus members, especially Saudi Arabia, are unhappy with the drooping crude oil prices we've been seeing given the banking crisis. Well, drooping no more. The price of crude traded here in New York is up 5.9%, over $80 a barrel. Marketplace's Nova Safo is here with more.
And David, these cuts come on top of a previously announced reduction of 2 million barrels a day in output cuts. That was late last year, and it was the biggest reduction since the beginning of the pandemic shutdowns. Now the OPEC Plus alliance has been implementing that cut and will reduce an additional 1 million barrels a day, as you mentioned, actually a bit more than that. And the big picture, though, is that it's even the additional 1 million barrels a day is just a sliver of total daily output globally, which is currently at about 100 million barrels a day. So it's about 1% or so. And the cuts will take some time to implement, too, so they're not going to be felt all at once.
Yet I'm watching as we speak, oil prices up sharply. Is the cartel betting that will continue?
Clearly, that's definitely appears to be what they want to see happen. The decisions that they are making come just a few days after OPEC released their latest average for oil prices. These are the prices that its member countries are getting out on the global market. And that average was around $77 a barrel. Clearly, they think that's too low, and analysts are expecting oil prices to rise substantially for the rest of the year because of OPEC's move.
Now, few people listening pay wholesale for their oil. When would this percolate into what we pay retail at the pump?
That is what everyone wants to know, and of course, it's the hardest thing to predict because hanging over all of this is the threat of recession. If we fall into one, that could reduce demand for gasoline, and perhaps the OPEC's cuts won't have an impact on increased prices. According to AAA, though, gas prices are already up. They're currently averaging about $3.50 a gallon. By one analysis, they could go up by about another 50 cents or so a gallon by this summer. And that's accounting for both the usual increase we see when refineries switch to a summer blend and the effects of the output cuts, David.
Nova, thank you. And one way to put a hammerlock on one corner of the world of sports, a massive merger. The World Wrestling folks are merging with the mixed martial arts people to create a company worth $21 billion. UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, is owned by the entertainment and talent agency conglomerate Endeavor, plus WWE. This becomes one big publicly traded firm.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG, an HR payroll and workforce management solution designed with people in mind to help make a fairy tale workplace a reality. UKG, our purpose is people. And by SoFi. With a SoFi high-yield savings account, members can earn more, plus deposits are FDIC insured. Learn more at SoFi.com. Get your money right. SoFi Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Checking stocks, London's FTSE index is up 0.7% here. Dow futures are up 0.3%, with Chevron stock up more than 4% in pre-market trading with that OPEC production cut. S&P futures are down 0.2%. NASDAQ futures are down 0.9%. And there must be a sense of deep unease among corporate employees at McDonald's this morning. The fast food corporation ordered all of its U.S. offices closed for 3 days starting today. Everybody works from home to await news of who is getting laid off. This means those layoff conversations will all happen remotely. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio. You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.